Just a few years ago, when I was 35, I had no idea that I'd be dealing with what I'm about to tell you. I was diagnosed with a rare genetic autoimmune disorder, one that could cause my spine to fuse together and put me in a wheelchair, or make me go blind, or even cut my lifespan short. A year ago, for the first time ever, my disorder kicked open the front door and introduced itself to me in an absolute bang. I was infected by a common cold virus from a dog. Yes, a dog. This virus caused my first major inflammation flare-up. Now, I'd been managing quite well, and all of a sudden, the symptoms of my illness hit me like a 2-ton truck. The next 2.5 months became the hardest of my life. The infection kicked my inflammation disorder into overdrive. Bedridden, unable to walk most nights, unable to move my joints, crying myself to sleep, immobile, and in tremendous pain, I saw no end and no relief in sight. The medication I was on wasn't working. What's happening to me? That's all I could think about. It took over, and I truly thought I might never feel normal again. Now, if that wasn't bad enough, the disorder has a name so long that it took me months just to be able to say it correctly, and I still can't spell it right. Ankylosing spondylitis. It sounds like a really boring dinosaur, right? I mean, are you kidding me? Ankylosing spondylitis? Why couldn't I have been diagnosed with a disorder named Velociraptor virus or Tyrannosaurus rex or Jeff Goldblum or some other Jurassic Park-esque superstar? After my diagnosis, I realized that many of my long-term plans, well, they just weren't that useful anymore. I might not make it that long. But being diagnosed with a life-altering disease did come with an amazing perk. I gotta tell you, I just never skip Starbucks anymore. If I want a latte, I'm getting a latte. My diagnosis, it was a watershed moment in my life, and it forced me to pause. It forced me to ask the question, am I maximizing the days that I have left? Is the way that I'm living now the way I actually want to spend my precious time? In this moment of reflection, I thought about what I actually care about. My family, my friends, my children, my health, my hobbies, goals, the things I might want to leave behind, and even my legacy. I was not thinking about my 401k or losing 5 pounds or even this TED Talk. And I kept coming back to an idea that I couldn't shake. The Western pursuit, the American dream, is in a state of dysfunction. It implores us to accumulate, accumulate, accumulate. To grow in quantity, not in quality. Western culture is practically obsessed with consumption. Did you know we're forced to watch 7 minutes of commercials during a 30-minute sitcom? That's 25% of the show. But of course you know that, and you've experienced it. We know the statistics on consumerism. You know what we don't hear about? It's the Western obsession with success. Not just consumption, the obsession with success. That's what we're talking about here today. The pervasive idea that to feel happy and content in life, you also need to feel a certain measure of success. Western success is measured not by quality, but in quantities. Our square footage, the number of vacation days we take every year, the number of Instagram followers you acquire, our weight on the scale. To have a better quantity of any of those things means you've been more successful, right? Yet I'm here knowing that my normal, healthy life could be cut short any day. I could be bedridden again, starting tomorrow, from a simple, common virus. With this in mind, I'm not measuring my own success in quantity anymore, because my quantity is far from guaranteed. I'm not trying to have the longest life. I'm trying to have a life worth living. First, let's agree on this. Happiness is the goal. Happiness is what we're after. Success, we are told, is the way to happiness. But oh, how easy this is to forget. We work impossible hours at soul-crushing jobs to have more success, even when our success leaves us feeling miserable inside. Why are we so stuck in this mindset? Hardwood floors imported from the rainforest, or a third row heated seat, add so little value to my time that I have left. They would add virtually no value to my relationships or my mental well-being. They wouldn't keep me from crying myself to sleep in pain. But they would cost me time, money, brain power, and perhaps even my sanity were I to obsess over them. And let's be honest, we can obsess over the littlest things. The Western definition of success is leading to a society that is stressed out, overcooked, overscheduled, overstimulated, and afraid that they aren't chasing enough. The fear of missing out is a strong motivator, and not in a good way. This is not what the American dream was intended to be. Investopedia says the American dream is the belief that anyone, regardless of where they were born or what class they were born into, can attain their own version of success in a society where upward mobility is possible for everyone. Okay, well, that actually sounds awesome. Anyone can attain their own version of success. But why then has it turned into feeling more like this, where you are keeping up with the neighbor next door, or feeling like you have to juggle and do all the things? The data shows that our way, this Western way, is stressing us out, that 83% of US workers suffer from work-related stress, according to a study conducted at Everest College. And 63% of US workers say they're ready to quit their job due to stress, according to another study done by Dynamic Signals. What are we doing to ourselves? 2/3 of us want to quit our jobs? For many of us, our job is the single biggest commitment in our lives. We're basically saying we want to quit our lives. We are working hard, often in order to buy the bigger house or live up to an expectation that we think society or our friends or our parents have for us. And yet we are showing up to work many days stressed out and wanting to quit. What if we could show up to work and not want to quit? What if we could focus on the quality of our happiness instead of the quantity of our success? Going back to my dinosaur disease diagnosis, this is where I started to uncover some answers to these questions. It was through my diagnosis that I started to realize that minimizing my focus on things would actually maximize my life results. When we are healthy and young, we are invincible. We have unlimited time ahead of us. But if you have ever had a chronic or life-altering ailment or cared for a family member who has, you likely know this. Nothing else really matters like it used to. You need a lot of mental energy to focus on your condition. You often need to find ways to pay for thousands of dollars in prescription drugs every year just to keep the wolf at the door. I decided to focus not simply on minimalism and reducing the amount of things I focus time, energy, or money on, but on life maximalism, maximizing the life results that I get while I'm here, because I don't know how long that will be. None of us do. Challenge, it shapes us. Tribulation, it awakens us. In my own awakening, I learned and developed a principle. I now feel compelled to share it with others. It's a mantra that I live by. Minimize to maximize. It means focus on less to produce better life results. Minimize to maximize is about reducing your focus on mental, physical, and emotional clutter so that you can spend your time maximizing your life results on what is truly important to you. It means focusing your energy on things that actually give you oxygen and letting go of the things that don't. It means showing up with authenticity in your day-to-day and living your true, authentic self. It means focusing on your own version of success and not on what society has dreamed it up for you. All right, sounds wonderful, but you might be thinking, sounds good on paper, but it's not a reality for me. Or you might be asking, where do I sign up? How do I put this into practice? There are 3 ways to get here that I'm going to walk you through. It begins with the 3 Ds. Now, if you have ever read David Allen's book, Getting Things Done, you might be familiar with the 4D framework that he has for productivity. I like to simplify it a bit more and practice 3 of those Ds. Do it, drop it, delegate it. Now, to practice the 3 Ds, you have to start with a list. You have to evaluate something happening in your life. Maybe it's your work and what you spend your time on at work, or maybe it's a relationship or a personal pursuit. Make a list of all the things that are taking up your time and your energy and put them all down on paper. Then ask yourself and evaluate each thing on the list. Is this something that gives me energy that I love, that I want to keep doing? Or is it sucking my energy dry? If it's something that you love, keep doing it and put it in the do it bucket. I'll give you a personal example. Earlier this year, I chose more time with my family. Living through the pandemic with kids at home from school all the time and being on Zoom calls all day long for hours on end, I felt pretty fried, and I felt like my kids weren't getting much attention. So I chose them. I went to my work and I asked to reduce my pay and hours so I could have more time to focus on personal things at this moment in time. Now, some things had to go due to the pay cut. We've been eating a lot of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches over the kitchen sink. But it opened up opportunities for more time with my family, and it's been worth it. Let's talk about the delegate bucket. Maybe there's something on the list that has to still get done, but it can be done and solved with automation. Automation is delegation. Or maybe you aren't the person best suited for the task, and it better lines up with someone else's skill set around you. Delegate it. Figure out another way to get it done. A simple example of this is how I use technology in my day-to-day life to remind me to do things, because I'm also plagued with another disease. It's called thinking I'm someone who can remember my task list all in my head. This isn't true. My task list is too much for any one person's brain to take. So I started delegating reminders to technology. I use tools like Asana, and I conversate frequently to my Google Home. asking it to remind me to do things. There is a lot we can delegate to Alexa. We just have to take a moment to learn and try. Lastly, let's talk about the drop it bucket. There might be something on your list that you need to say no to. It could be something at work that isn't getting results, a chore at home, or even a relationship. I'll give you one more example. My family and I moved into a house without a yard to upkeep. I used to mow the lawn and it just didn't really do it for me. So I moved to a house that didn't require me to spend my time on yard work. The second step in minimize to maximize is to show up as your authentic self every day. What does it mean to be authentic? Well, there's only one of you. You've got over 30 trillion cells in your body. It is impossible for you to be exactly like someone else. Being authentic means knowing your unique strengths and weaknesses, and then being honest about them with other people. You'll spend your time more wisely when you and others know your strengths and weaknesses. Own your originality, be clear about who you are, and show up with conviction about it every day. The third principle and step in this is to recognize and accept that this kind of change doesn't happen overnight. And that is okay. You don't show up for the marathon and run the whole thing without any training. You train in small increments, in sprints. There are 1,000 baby steps along the path to reach your goal. Each little step every day gets you a little bit closer. So what's the punchline? Don't wait to focus your life on the right things for you. Use stories like mine to inspire you to seek greater things for yourself without having to learn the hard way. The Buddha said, "What you think, you become." With minimize to maximize, how you devote your time determines how amazing your life can be. Thank you.